Hey guys, how you doing? It's Corinna from mydigitalfarmer.com. Hope you guys are doing good. Welcome to today's tutorial. Let me just log into my group real quick and make sure that I can catch the comments coming through. Awesome, I can see myself, my head's not cut off, that's good. Hope you guys are having a great Friday. I don't know about you, but my kids have spring break next week, and so today they are actually getting off from school early. They have a half day, which is why I had to switch my training to the morning bracket, and I appreciate you guys being flexible about that. So I'm going to kind of dive in right away while some of you guys are joining. I want to start out with just kind of an announcement or a request, really. I'd like to ask you guys to help me grow this particular private group. We've been getting about 25 to 50 people a week, which is really awesome. That's a steady sign of growth. I love that. I just want to keep that going. I have sort of set a goal for myself to try and get this group to 1,000 members by like June 1st, July 1st is sort of my goal. I feel like that's doable with your help. So if you find that this group is a resource to you, that you're getting value from it, you enjoy it, would you just do me a favor and let other people know it exists? Share it with your farmers, or when you're talking with your colleagues somewhere else, over Facebook or on the phone or at a conference or at the market. Just mention that this group exists and it's been helpful to you for getting marketing tips and for connecting with other farmers around this kind of topic. I would really appreciate that, and invite them in. And there's a couple of different ways that you can get in. Probably the easiest way is to have them go to mydigitalfarmer.com and just click on the Join My Facebook Group tab. There's just a big button right in the center there that says they can do that. So that would be the easiest way to do it. Another way is to send them to facebook.com/groups/CSA Marketing. So the name of the group is CSA Marketing. And if you can remember that URL, great, but probably the easiest way is to say go to mydigitalfarmer.com and click on the Join My Facebook Group button. So, all right, well, today's training is going to be all about something called the CSA Sampler that my husband and I have been doing for a couple years. And so I want to start out by kind of asking you a question. What is your plan for when you have people that want to join your CSA and you're full, or you're maybe like midway through the season and you haven't really, you don't really accept signups anymore? What's your plan for people coming up to you in June and saying, oh my gosh, I want to join your CSA, is there still room? And you've either already started or there isn't room. And I have to tell you, this has been a situation that I have faced actually for the last 3 or 4 years. I have always had the benefit of being sold out by the time the CSA started. And that has happened earlier some years than others, but I have always been sold out, sometimes right in the nick of time. But I've also always had people that want to join after I'm full. And it seems like I get a bunch of them right at the beginning, right in the first couple of weeks when the farmer's market is in full swing, or maybe my CSA members are kind of talking it up and they're like, oh, it's so cool. And they're thinking about it now, right? People don't think about joining a CSA sometimes in February or March or April, but when they see this stuff in the market, or they walk by your produce bin or your stand, that's when they think about it, in June. And I've always, in my first, I don't know, it was probably 5 years ago that I started having this happening, where people were asking to join and I didn't have space anymore. And what I used to do was say, oh, well, would you like to be put on my wait list for next year? And you've probably tried that too. And I would get their email. Sometimes I wouldn't get their email, or get their phone number, but I tried to get their email, and I write it down in a spreadsheet, and I would just keep that there. Eventually I started putting it in my email service provider, and I would just kind of tag them as, hey, this is somebody that I should reach out to, as a special list of people who are on my wait list, right? And so I told them, when they said, yeah, I want to be on your wait list, I said, okay, great, I'm going to put you on this list. I'll contact you, in October when I'm doing signups, and you'll get the early bird rate. I'll let you sign up with the rest of my current members. And they were so grateful, and they said, that's awesome. And actually, two 2 years ago, I had 89 people that were on that list. And so I have to tell you, I was kind of sitting pretty. I felt pretty confident that I wasn't going to have to work so hard to replace the people that I knew were going to not renew. So when October came around and it was time to open up early bird renewal, I sent out the email to all my lists in my current CSA, and I also sent it to these 89 people on the wait list. And I think I had like 4 people from the 89 people actually end up signing up by May of the next year. 4 people. I couldn't believe it. And what had happened, that the email list, the wait list had gone dormant. I mean, it was almost like it was just a dead list. And I was stunned. And this didn't just happen to those 89 people. This had happened the year before as well. And even the year before, and my wait list was a whole lot smaller in those years, but the first couple of years I was just like, oh, whatever, this just 30 people that didn't sign up. But when it was 89 and I only had 4 or 5 people sign up, that was kind of depressing. And suddenly I thought to myself, this whole wait list concept isn't working. And why isn't it working? So I think I know the answer to why it's not working now that I actually kind of understand a little bit about marketing. And I think it's because of something that I have called the taxi light effect, which I've mentioned in a few other videos, but I want to kind of bring it up here and give one whole video all about the taxi light effect, because it's a very real phenomenon that you should be aware of so that you can create countermeasures to deal with it. So I want you to imagine you're in the city, or you're in New York City, or wherever you'd find a taxi. I don't see too many taxis out here in Elmore in the country. But let's imagine that you actually need to hail a taxi and you need to get into one and drive somewhere. So, you raise your hand and you wave, or you do the whistle thing, and you look around, and the only taxis that are going to pull up are going to be the ones that have their lights on. And every now and then you'll be in a place where you'll see taxi cabs either parked or driving around, but they don't have their light on, and you might try to hail them and they're not going to stop, because the taxi light being on means I'm in business, I'm willing to take a customer, I'm willing to have someone in my car. So I like to think about customers having taxi lights attached to them, all right? And when their taxi light is on, they're ready for business. They're ready to buy. They're ready to bring you into their cab, start a relationship with you, start a buying relationship with you. And when the taxi light is on, you can jump right in and take off with them. However, if you don't get in the cab for whatever reason, because you're sold out, because you didn't get back to them in time, because you didn't get to the email and it's 2 weeks later, their taxi light can turn off. And when the light is off, they're not taking clients. They're not taking people into their cab anymore. And the opportunity has closed. So I have seen this time and time again. People who have come to me and said, I want to buy something. I'm ready to buy. I'm ready to buy the CSA. And I'm not prepared because I'm sold out, or I don't have the product there that week, or whatever. And I have to say, I'm sorry. And I lose them. They go off to another vendor or another CSA and purchase it there. Buying a CSA product is definitely a lot like having your taxi light on. And one of the things I want you to remember is that when you're buying a high ticket priced item, actually any item, it's a very emotional decision. And we've talked about the 4 reasons that people buy in a different video, but one of these things you need to remember is that people often decide to buy things based on emotion. It's going to solve a problem they have, and in that moment, this problem has become so overwhelming that it's like an impulse thing, like, I need to do it now, And so you need to capture that moment. You need to be there when the person is having that emotional reaction, because oftentimes a week may go by later and the rational piece kicks in, or that emotion isn't strong anymore, and that need to purchase now is no longer as strong. So when people are ready to buy, they're ready to buy. And so if you miss the window, if you miss getting into the taxi because the taxi light turns off, you are going to miss the sale, and you're probably going to miss the lead. So my hot leads, those 89 people, right? They had their taxi light on, but by the time I got to them 5 months later, their taxi light was off and they were no longer interested. Some of them had changed their mind. For some of them, this wasn't a need that was top of mind anymore. Some of them had actually gone to another CSA, and I missed my opportunity. Another thing I think that was a factor is that once I had people on my list, my wait list, I wasn't nurturing them. This was like 3 years ago before I learned about the importance of nurturing the list and the customer journey. I was doing nothing to write them and contact them. It was like they heard nothing from me for 5 months, and then all of a sudden I send them an email and they're probably like, who is this, right? Who is this girl? Maybe they didn't even really remember the interaction they had with me long ago. So of course they weren't going to be a warm lead anymore. So how did we solve this problem? Well, we kind of stumbled upon it because I created something called the CSA Sampler, which is what I want to talk you through today. This is not a rocket science concept, but I wanted to share it with you because we had really good success with it. And if you are a CSA that's a pretty strong CSA, or you're pretty sure you're going to be close to sold out by the time you start, you might want to be asking yourself this question of how can you make sure that you have a way to handle those people who come to you when their taxi light is on so you don't lose the opportunity. So Kurt and I brainstormed and we kind of created this idea called the CSA Sampler because we felt like we needed to create a product that would get them in the taxi, or would get us in the taxi, right? We needed to create a product that would get our leads into the pipeline. That's another way of putting it. I wanted to be able to say yes when someone asked me, can I join your CSA? I never want to be put in a situation where I have to tell them no. Now, because I have a pretty high retention rate, near 80%, it's at 78%. So I know that 22% of my members are not, if it follows from last year's percentage, will not renew next year. And so I want to have a waiting list. I want to leverage that waiting list, people waiting in the wings that can just fill in those gaps, because it's unrealistic to expect that we're all going to get to 100% retention. That's just not going to happen. There's all kinds of reasons. Even if you are a superstar CSA, there's all kinds of reasons why people might not renew that are perfectly legit. So we have to have a plan for replacing them. And I could do this big launch and fill in those gaps, but wouldn't it be nice to have a way to, another way to be cultivating those waitlisters who are getting warm and getting hot during the season, who come to me and say, I want to join now. I don't want to have to say no to them. So I asked Kurt, who's in charge of all the production piece, like making the actual vegetables grow, and I said, listen, is there a way that we could make room for something called a sampler share? Or could we fit in some extra product in the production line? And he said, yes, we could probably accommodate that. So he had already by that time had a plan, right? As I know many of you do. You plan out how many plants you're going to put in the ground, what your estimated yield is going to be. And we run a really tight ship because my husband hates to waste food. He hates to waste labor and energy. So we're not one of those farms that creates this huge abundance and then ends up, tossing a lot of it because we just don't ever sell it. We're really, really close to, selling what we actually grow. And I know that may not be a concern for you, but for us it was. So I had to come to him and be like, hey, before I try to sell this concept of a sampler share, I need to make sure that there's actually product that you could provide me without stressing the system. And so we decided we were going to create a 4-week sampler share. Now, this wasn't 4 weeks in a row. This was 4 weeks that were spaced out over the remainder of the season. And my husband said, I can start this probably after July 4th. That's the time of year when I feel like our production level is heavy enough that I can accommodate an extra, 5 to 10 extra boxes on any given week. And he sort of said 5 the first year. He's like, I know that I can cover another 5 shares in addition to what we already have to do easily without me stressing out. So I said, okay, that's going to be my goal. So what I did is I decided that I was going to space out these 4 weeks. If somebody joined and became a CSA sampler customer, I told them, here's how it works. You're going to get 4 half-share boxes, but it's going to be spaced out over whatever time is left. So if they joined, July 7th, and then beginning the next week, they would probably get one that very next week, and then I might wait like 2 weeks or 3 weeks before they get the next one. I try to space it out. If someone joins September, then they're going to be getting them more frequently because I only have 6 weeks left until the season's over, right? So they might get 3 weeks in a row, and then there's a break, and then there's a week where they get their last box. So this was kind of a makeshift. I sort of pieced it together. And they also, in addition to the box, they got access to my private Facebook group because, again, that is where so much of the teaching is happening. That's where the momentum, the flywheel is spinning really fast in my business. And I knew if I could get them in there and they could see the vision for what we do, they could see the live unboxings every week, even though they're not getting a box maybe that week. When they're getting the training, they're meeting the community, they're learning the stuff. I knew that that would infect them, that would get them excited about this product and want it even more. So that was also part of the offer. They also got access to my farm events, all of them, even if, they were only joining, if they were joining July 7th, they got to go to everything. So I also gave them the promise that you're going to be able to sign up for next year at the early bird rate, which means you're going to get access to the egg share and the cheese share and some of these other things that are harder to get your hands on once they're sold out. So now the cost for my sampler share last year was $125, and that's more than what they would pay per week if they were just in my CSA share. So if you take the cost of my share normally and divide it by 18 weeks, it comes to about $22 a week. But when you buy the sampler share, you're actually paying $31 a week. So I was actually making additional money, but I found that people were willing, they were buying it. So to them, there was still value. It was almost like, oh, you're letting me in, you're giving me this other option. Thank you so much. I'm willing to spend that extra money just to get in the pipeline. So I would explain to them, hey, I'm sold out of my normal shares, but I have a special offer to, help you get in anyway. So, it's called the sampler share. So there was this initial like, oh no, you're sold out, but then I give them hope, right? I give them this olive branch, but there's a CSA sampler, which is kind of like a CSA, not quite the same commitment, and you can try it out, and it's, 4 weeks. So if you're joining if you're joining in August or, middle of August, that's not bad. That's like at least once every 2 weeks that you're going to get a box still, and that may be just right for some of these people. So I didn't actually look up the exact numbers, guys. I should have done that, but I'm thinking it was around 25 people, maybe 23, 24 people, might have been more, but that's how many people purchased my CSA sampler over the course of the summer last year, and some of them purchased right on the front end as soon as I was sold out. And then some of them were joining as late as August and September, because I remember having to squeeze them in and looking at the calendar and thinking, oh my gosh, there aren't very many weeks left. Am I going to be able to fit them in? So it was a little clunky on the administrative end because I was not putting them into my member assembler software because it was going to cause me to go over my number. So I was taking those people and I was putting them into kind of my own little list, and then I had a calendar, an actual visual calendar, and I would, once I got them to come through the system, I would then take their name and I would write it down. I would schedule them out on this calendar. I would just write their last name and I would write the site that they were associated with behind their name, so that each week I could tell, okay, there's 5 names. There's no more than 5 names that are allowed on this week. So it would be like Baker, Elmore site week 1, right, would be listed in that 1 week. And then I would find the next week where I would assign them. And I would just kind of space it out. And it got a little trickier, like I said, as the season went on and we got deeper into the season and I was running out of space, out of time as people joined. And there eventually came a point where I just couldn't accommodate people anymore, but that was like 2 people. And by then the season was so late that waiting on the wait list for early bird was not that big a deal. So I do just want to say that I haven't figured out the administrative end to make it super efficient yet, but it was a little clunky. And now, as I said, Kurt told me that he could handle up to 5 additional boxes every week. So I was spacing them out, and then I was writing them individual email reminders. So I just had that in my discipline, on a certain day of the week. I think it was on a Saturday, I would send out an email to the people who were CSA samplers, and I would say, hey, next week, don't forget you're picking up your box at this date and time. Normally that automatically happened with my member assembler software, but like I said, I couldn't do that with them because they weren't on a regular schedule, so I had to individually remind them. So that was a little bit of a pain, but worth it. So the benefits of this system were, number 1, I never had to tell a customer no when they said, can I join your CSA? And that felt so freeing because every time I say no to people, I just feel like I am never going to see them again. I am losing them, right? So figure out a way. I guess the moral of this story is figure out a way so that you never have to say no to someone who wants to buy from you. The second benefit was that they all took me up on it, right? Every single person, when I said, I have, I'm sold out of my full season share, but I do have a sampler share, which is, 4 weeks. Would you be interested in that? Plus you get access to my Facebook group and you can get the upsells, you can get the fruit share. So, I was trying to come up with a compromise that sounded good, and they all immediately said, yes, I'll do it. So they didn't see it as a loss. They didn't see it as second prize. It was, oh my gosh, I got in, right? And I got a lead. So that's the other benefit. I got a qualified lead. I got someone who's ready to buy, who wants this, and who may, one of those, those people may end up becoming master customers, like superstar fits, customer avatars. And I also feel like this concept, this CSA sampler strategy, elevated my brand because it made them feel like it's hard to get into this CSA. It's sold out. Oh my gosh, but you're giving me a way to do it anyway. I'm still getting in, the CSA. And so there was this feeling of almost like it was a prize to get in, and the fact that they'd still found a way to squeeze under the wire made them feel like I'm a part of a winning team, right? So I feel like offering something like that gives these people that feeling of being a part of something that's doing really well. And everyone likes to be a part of a brand that's strong, especially when they have this promise that they're going to be real members, right? Like in 8 weeks. So as you're considering this, some variations on this theme, maybe you don't want to do exactly the CSA sampler, but perhaps you can think about your core offer. Like, what is your core offer that you have right now? And is there something you can splinter off the core offer and create that as a second prize, as a way to get people into the taxi cab? So maybe your production schedule and line cannot handle 25 people wanting to join your wait list. You just don't have enough vegetables. That's fine. Think of something then that you can splinter off, that you can offer instead, so that they start buying from you. Maybe it's a mini version of what everyone else gets. Maybe it's just the Facebook group membership. If you have an awesome Facebook group like I do, you could say, well, you can have access to this. You could even give them the Facebook group membership at a discount. Or you could play around with the week. Maybe if you could do a sampler share, but you can't do 4 weeks, maybe you can change it to 3 or 2 or whatever it needs to be. Remember, the goal is to get them to buy something when they come to you, right? You want to turn them from a subscriber to a buyer. And this made me think about this customer value journey. This is still my favorite training that I did, all about the customer value journey, because I feel like it's so foundational to marketing in general. Knowing that every customer who comes into your sphere of influence goes through this journey. And if you know the steps that they're supposed to go through, you will engineer a process to make sure they keep moving through it and they don't get stuck. And so if you watch that training, you know that once they become aware of you, they start to engage with your product by watching videos, or maybe by coming to your stand and talking to you. Maybe they eventually even subscribe to something. They do something that actually says, I want to have a relationship with you. I want to trade my contact information to get something of value from you. And then they eventually convert. And so this sampler share is hitting this right here, okay? Because I have people who have engaged with me. They may have bought like a small thing from my farmer's market, but now they want to actually invest. They want to make a smaller dollar investment with me to try me out. And if I don't let them do that, then it stalls right here. So in some ways, I feel like this CSA sampler product operates as a kind of tripwire offer, because it just gets them in the door. It's a lower dollar amount. It's not the big kahuna. It's not the $410. It's $125, which is a little more manageable. It's a mini version of the experience, and for some people that's a lower risk, right? So it gets them in the door. It moves them from just being a subscriber to I have purchased, and that changes the relationship between you and the customer. There's something that happens in the brain. This is like brain physics, whatever, chemistry, that has changed this from a transactional relationship, to a transactional relationship, right? This isn't just, oh, I'm watching your videos and I'm learning about you. I'm actually spending money on you. I'm actually taking a risk and putting myself out there and saying, I trust you. I'm going to try this out. And when a customer does that, there's a loyalty switch that happens, okay? So that's why it's so important to create some kind of mechanism so that when you have people who come in as leads who are now ready to do this next step, who are ready to give you money, who want to buy, you don't have to say no, right? Come up with something else you can sell them that gets them in the pipeline. All right, so a couple of other things I want to mention. I only sold the CSA sampler after I was sold out. Okay, now you could do it differently. You could say this is going to be a new product that you can choose from. I personally don't want to do that, because I feel like if I offer that as another kind of product, then I might have people that never go, full kahuna and like try the CSA. They'll kind of step into it first. So I only want this to be available when I'm sold out, and I'm in a position where I can do that. So that's just kind of a game changer for my husband and I. We just decided we're a line in the sand. We're not offering the CSA sampler until we're sold out. I also made a decision that I would not offer the CSA sampler to a customer a second time. So if a person had been a CSA member before, took a break, but then comes back and is like, well, Corinne, I just don't think I can do the full 18 weeks, so I saw you have this sampler, and it's just a way for me to kind of do 4 weeks and still support you. I see those people and I say, I'm really sorry, no. That's not what, and the reason that I do that is because in my mind, that is not what this product is designed for. I could probably fill those spots with some of those people and make money. But my goal is to get leads in my pipeline. And because I want to create that wait list that's ready and right to buy, so that when I need to fill out those spots in October and fill out that retention rate, it's easier. That's what this whole system was designed to do. So I don't want to fill it up with people who just want to do 4 weeks, and that's all they're going to do every year, okay? So I would tell people, because I had a couple people do that, who actually tried to sign up, and I'm like, oh, I recognize them, and I call them up, and I'm like, hey, listen, this product is really not designed for that purpose. It's really meant to be for people who want to join next year. So do you want to join next year, or is this just something that you're doing because you like the idea of having fewer weeks. You can't do 18 weeks ever, but you like doing 4. And then there are going to be people who do just want to, who see this as a way to try out the CSA and give it that 4 weeks, but they don't want to ever sign up for 18 weeks. That's just not what this is designed for. Okay, so it's not for people who are like, oh, I'll never do 18 weeks, but I'll do 4, and it's not designed for people from the past who've been in my CSA who dropped out because it was too much for them or whatever, and now they see, oh, it's 4 weeks, I'll do that. It's just not for that audience. In my case, could be for you. And did I tell you what my retention, I don't think I told you. My retention rate, so out of those 22, 25 people that signed up, I had about a 65% conversion rate the next year, okay, who actually signed up. That's pretty good. So not all of them ended up doing it, and I checked in with those who did, and I'm like, hey, how was it for you? And they told me, well, we just decided that we just can't commit every single week. We're not going to be able to do it, and we're glad that we had a chance to kind of try it out. So great, but for 60 to 65% of them, they did renew the next year. And a lot of them are hardcore, like master customers, people who are foodies way into this. So it was a great strategy, and now I have populated some of those people that I lost the year before. I've now kind of repopulated that group with really strong members. And then finally, I wanted to mention that I do create a sales page for the CSA Sampler product. So once the other page is gone, or the other product is sold out, I remove that off of lead pages and I swap it out with a new sales page that looks a lot like the one that's about the full season, but it's got different copy on it, and it makes sure to explain the offer. So it's very clear to people when they click on, oh, I want to join the CSA on my website, right? There's like a button that says sign up. So if they click on that button, it's not going to take them to a page that makes it look like we still have spots. No, it takes them to a sales page that explains, hey, we're sold out, but here's what we're offering now, a sampler, and goes through the whole offer. So that's just something that I do, and I feel like that really helps explain so people aren't confused when they click on buttons on your website that say you can buy this stuff, and then they go to the page and it looks like you're sold out, and then they're like, oh, I'm leaving. Say, no, I'm not sold out. I've got another option. All right. So we have toyed now, since it was so successful. My husband and I have actually toyed with the idea this year for planning for a certain number of sampler shares. Like we know we're not going to have 100% retention rate, so let's try to build in extra spots in our production so that we can add in sampler shares. So we still have just 400 shares that we sell a year, and that's what we advertise to everyone, that we're sold out at 400. But in the back of our minds, we are actually planning to create boxes, 410 boxes a week, in the hopes that we can fill out those extra 10 spots with these sampler shares. And the way the math works out, like we kind of know that we don't start sampler share until we have only 12 weeks left in the season, and so that's roughly 3 sampler shares would cover one normal 12-week share. So we've kind of done the math there, and we figured out that we can sell 30 extra sampler shares to get those 410 boxes a week starting at week 6. So you'll have to kind of figure out that math for yourself, but once we did that, like now I know I have this many sampler shares I can sell, and I feel comfortable with that. Now, just consider this, in my 400 member CSA, if I have a 78% retention rate again next year or close to it, that means that I will have 88 people that I need to replace next season. And if I can get just like 25 of those 30 sampler share customers to sign up again, if that's my retention rate of my sampler customers, then I only have to find 63 for the next season. That's quite a nice chunk. So to me, this is a really great strategy to help me with this problem of the taxi light effect. So today I just want to ask the question, what is your strategy when someone comes to you after you're sold out? you need to be able to get them in the pipeline. Figure out a way to get them in your taxi cab, all right? Come up with a product, come up with some sort of second prize, some sort of tripwire offer, some sort of thing that makes them turn into a buyer, so that the relationship changes to a transactional relationship. I'm actually investing money in you now. Figure out some kind of mechanism that allows you to do that, because you need to have a way to get into their taxi. If you miss this opportunity, this waitlist concept, just holding on to a waitlist for a long time, probably won't convert at a high rate for you. So what kind of product can you create to be able to say yes to a customer who's ready to give you money, but you might not have anything available at the time? Figure that out. That's sort of the moral of the story. And I want you to share your ideas in the comments of this video below of how you think this might work, something that you've tried, or just a brainstorm that you had while you were listening to this, and put that in the comments, because maybe it's not a sampler, maybe it's something else that you've done that you feel worked well to groom your waitlist audience and keep them warm. And then finally, before I let you go, I want you to just remember, please, if you find value in these videos and these trainings and in this community, if you see this as a place that you can come and ask a question about marketing and you're getting some good responses, you're getting some food for thought, would you consider sharing this group with someone else who's a CSA farmer? I would love to try and get this group to 1,000 members by this summer, and that is my goal. If I can do it organically without spending money on ads, that would be awesome. So the bigger we can make this group, the more minds there are to mine and to pull the wisdom out of. All right? Okay, I just want to let you know that next week is spring break for my family. We are actually going to be going out of town to southeast Ohio, and we're going to do some hiking for the week. So I will not be doing a live training like this next weekend. I just want to make you aware of that I'm going to be taking a week off. But if you are new to the group, there is a ton of stuff in the video archives. I recommend watching the one all about the customer value journey, or the funnel one. Those are both really good, or the customer avatar video to kind of get caught up to speed. Those are some pretty foundational pieces of content. Thanks. Let me just check and see if anyone is online. Oh, Kim is watching, and Lynn. Awesome. Thanks, guys, for joining me, and have a great weekend and a blessed Easter holiday. Bye.